Hey everybody, welcome back. Spiny Rambles. I think this is going to be a shorter one because, frankly, it's hot as balls in my room without the fan on. I just uploaded the Rick and Morty one, so if people actually do request a discussion, then I'm missing those for now, but I'll cover them next time. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I don't think anyone gives a shit about the series, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to talk about potential Better Call Saul slash Breaking Bad spinoffs, just kind of for fun. That I don't think will happen, but which ones could be interesting? If this new show from Vince Gilligan doesn't work out, it is just Vince Gilligan this time and not Peter Gould teaming up with him, from what it seems. But the working title is Waikaro 339. And I'm probably, Jesus, saying that wrong. So that's the issue with this series, is like I said, I refuse to edit. So you're gonna hear all the coughs, all of the heavy breathing, every unappealing sound known to man. It was ordered for 2 seasons is what I'm reading here, which is actually interesting. Unfortunately, it's Apple TV Plus, which I don't like. I want to support the show, but I really don't want an Apple TV account. But I might do it for them. The series is going to star Rhea Seehorn, who was Kim Wexler, so that's pretty cool. And it is another show that's going to take place in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So it feels like it's staying pretty close to home while not being connected to Breaking Bad in any way, which is, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Vince Gilligan said that Saul is probably it for the series. But he also said, who knows, maybe if this whatever he does next doesn't work out, he'll come crawling back. I think that's actually very close to what he said himself exactly. And it had me thinking, what would be an interesting spinoff if they had to do another one? Because one fun fact that probably a lot of people who are really invested in the show already know, who have looked into it at least, is that when Better Call Saul was coming out, there was kind of a debate between two shows. One was Better Call Saul and one was The Rise of Gus. And you have to ask yourself, could The Rise of Gus still work? I don't think so, because I think the actor's too old now. I think that they were already pushing it towards the end of Better Call Saul. I think Better Call Saul was made at the exact right point, which was immediately after, because if they would have held off at all anymore, they were already pushing it, but I think they got away with it. It's a little distracting, but it's still, the show quality is high enough to where it's forgiven. And for most of the show, I think Saul himself looks younger just because they made him look less sleazy. But I think that doing another prequel probably won't work. But The Rise of Gus, which is what is interesting about that, is I feel like if they would have went that route, I don't think it would have worked as well. I think Saul is a way more endearing character than Gus, while Gus is like a really good antagonist. And I think his role in Better Call Saul was probably better for him than a full show about him, even though I think his history could have been interesting. Now, they could recast Gus for a prequel like that, but I at the same time, I mean, do we really want to see someone else do the role of Gus? I don't. So I don't really want the Rise of Gus to happen. But it would be interesting, because I feel like with Gus just being, it being a smaller role for him in Better Call Saul instead of the lead of the show, we still got to see a lot of what they probably intended on doing with that show. But I feel like a lot of it would have been kind of unmasking the mystery of his past life, which even with Better Call Saul, I feel like we actually learn even less about. I feel like Breaking Bad goes further into Gus's past than Better Call Saul did. We see more of his past in Better Call Saul, but I'm talking about like going way back, like the flashback that kind of shows why he's out for revenge. That's in Breaking Bad, and it's not in Better Call Saul. In Better Call Saul, they just kind of expect you to already know the context there. So we don't get any additional flashbacks, and I feel like The Rise of Gus would have explored his history a bit more. We might have seen a little bit of childhood Gus, like we got to see of childhood Saul, but ultimately I think it's a fun what if now, but it's not something that should still be made. Maybe one day, I don't know. Maybe eventually someone could do something with that. Me and Cass talked about how Slip and Jimmy actually could have potentially been an interesting project. I think we talked about that in one of the Recall Saul episodes that I'll release one day. That there was something potentially interesting there about Jimmy's relationship with Marco growing up, and there is one episode Chuck in it, see what their bond was like when they were younger. Like, there is something there to explore. Unfortunately, Slippin' Jimmy had zero interest in that, and kind of just wanted to be a silly cartoon that felt very out of place. It felt very bizarre. I've only seen one episode of it, and it was the one episode that had Chuck in it, and it was very painfully mediocre. And I think that's just because it was silent. To my understanding, the episodes where they talk is a lot more insufferable to get through. And honestly, once I catch up with Recall Saw, once I get all those episodes out, we are talking about maybe doing a Slip and Jimmy episode where we're willing to torture ourselves just to have a podcast episode about it. So that could maybe be like the actual finale to Recall Saw. We're only going to do that, though, if I can actually get all the episodes out. Because otherwise, why do that to ourselves? No one likes Slippin' Jimmy. No one, like, compliments that show. But maybe there could be something there, and maybe you could even go for animation if you wanted to. Although I will say, if you were going to do it ideally, I do think you would want it to be a mix of comedy and drama, like Better Call Saul was. And I actually think something like a Mike Judge art style would serve it well, where it's animated, and for the reason of, kind of realistically depicting these characters. Younger, you can kind of make them look like whatever you want them to look like. But you also don't have that overly cartoonish style, which I think works for a lot of stuff. Obviously, I have nothing against being cartoonish at all. I think that's kind of obvious if you watch my channel, actually. But I do think for Saul, for like these characters, something closer to like that King of the Hill art style would actually work pretty well for it. But I think that could have been something. I think at this point, that ship has sunk. I guess the most obvious direction to go would be to do a spinoff that focuses on Walter Jr. and Skyler, and I guess Marie a little bit. And just because it's the most obvious way to go doesn't mean it's the best way to go, because frankly, I like all three of those characters. I don't know if they could carry a show. I remember RJ Might actually showed interest in doing this. He actually pitched the idea, or at least maybe he didn't do a full-blown pitch, but he's shown interest in doing a movie or a show that followed up Walter Jr. And I think he even kind of pitched it in a way where Walter Jr. kind of falls into his father's habits. Maybe I'm misremembering that. I don't know if that's a good idea, because it kind of feels like that's just not what the character is. He feels disgusted by what his father did, and he would never want to be like that. But what would it be like the day they got that money from Gretchen and Elliot? There is material there. The issue is just too many of the show's most interesting characters are dead. Now, you could do something with Saul and Jesse technically, but I feel like they were both left in a perfect spot. And I don't think a show like that could work with flashbacks. Again, everybody's gotten so much older, and I think now that ship has kind of sailed. So it would just need to be future, focus on the future. And maybe if they were going to do that, I think it'd be better as a movie, because I don't know if that idea could carry a show, but a movie could maybe be interesting. Just kind of, seeing what their lives are like with the reputations they have. See if Skylar was ever able to find some form of happiness again. How is her relationship with Marie all this time? They have some sort of peace in the finale when Marie calls her to warn her about Walter, but it's clear that there is some damage there that's never going to be repaired. Could they ever have like a barbecue in the backyard again? I don't think so. Maybe she could do it for Walter Jr. and Holly. That's another thing. Holly could be a character with like a speaking role now. But I think the bottom line is like it's kind of fun to talk about these potential spinoffs, but I don't know. I feel like they wrapped everything up so well that you wouldn't need them. So this isn't me saying I want this to happen. This is just kind of, that's why it's a ramble. It's a hypothetical. Like what would be an interesting route to go? Because there's so many jokes about where these spinoffs could go. Like obviously there's the Hank Minerals one. That's a big one. There's Better Fuck Chuck, which yeah, that better, honestly, out of all of them, Better Fuck Chuck would be the best one. I I don't even know what the premise of that show would be based on that title. It's about it's an alternate reality where Chuck didn't die, and Jimmy and Howard team up to try to hook Chuck up with someone. In every single episode, they fuck up. Like Chuck just says something that like really gets on someone else's nerves, like the person they're trying to help him move on from his divorce from his wife. And good old Howard and Jimmy are there to get Chuck on the right path so someone can eventually fuck Chuck so Chuck can be fucked again. So I think, Better Fuck Chuck is definitely the best idea for a spinoff out of all of them. Like, hands down, nothing even comes close. One idea that I heard, and I'm trying to remember who it was, because I watched a lot of podcasts and a lot of reviews on the shows that come out. I think it was Mumpke Jones, actually, who pitched this idea on one of his Better Call Saul podcasts, of doing an episode, doing a spinoff show on Wendy, the prostitute, just showing her day-to-day life, her everything she does for all these horrible clients, just for the satisfaction of drinking a root beer. And you know what? I think that's actually a really great idea too. I think a Wendy spinoff would also be fine. It'd be perfect. You could, they make her such a meth head in that show. They make her look so rough in that show that I almost feel like you could make it take place in the past, because she's already covered in makeup when they're filming that. But you could also make it present. You can make it like post Heisenberg, I think that'd be fine too. So a Wendy spinoff has a lot of potential. The Huel spinoff show, show what he did after he did, we got confirmation of Better Call Saul, and this is the best thing that could have happened for this franchise, that Huel was taken out of the safety house. Because up until that Better Call Saul episode near the end of the show, confirmed that he made it out, and he also didn't get in trouble because the DEA agents were keeping him there under false pretenses. So he's off the hook from that. Huel can thrive in his life, and we've seen what powerful things Huel is truly capable of. What would it, better fuel Huel? The world according to Huel. And it could just be about him, he's a lost soul now. He's a lone wolf. He just travels place to place and helps maybe there's an episode where he helps a kid stand up to a bully. Maybe there's an episode where he goes to, a lower income town, or he goes to a town in a less developed country and brings them water. And it could just be about Huel traveling place to place and making the world a better place for everybody with his magic. Basically take that church story, that that story that Jimmy and his film crew, the way they wanted to paint Huel as a hero, and just make it reality, where Huel is the savior of the world. You could call it Huel Saves the World. There's so much potential in these smaller characters, Ernie would be a great spin-off character. I remember really early on, during the show, there was talk of doing let's do a show about Ernie, on how he went from being a guy working in the mailroom to one of the most hardcore hip-hop artists out there. And I remember that one specifically because I think his actor reposted that one because he thought it was funny. Lyle, how did Lyle's empire fall? Because he lost Los Polos Hermanos when Gus passed. He lost all of that. So where's good old Lyle at these days? Lyle could have a great show. The Kettlemans, it's a sitcom about the Kettleman family. And it's framed like a regular sitcom, kind of goofy, laugh track and everything. But it truly explores the miserable person that Craig Kettleman is. In every episode, it's kind of like F is for Family, where the consequences build up, and eventually there's an explosion. Craig can't take it anymore. So that one could just be called The Kettlemans. That'd be a stellar spinoff too, as long as you can tolerate being watching a whole show of them, let alone a couple scenes they had in Better Call Saul. This is a horrible idea. I'm already out of steam. I'm already out of fucking. I thought maybe I'd actually have something to talk about here. Now I'm just pitching bullshit and nothing but bullshit. So here we are, back at it again. Oh boy, how long has that been? Is that an efficient ramble? Can I stop now? Let's see. Nah, it should probably at least be 20 minutes. I hope this new show that they do with Rhea Seehorn is good. Let's look up. I don't know. Let's look up the different shows. All right, so Better Fuel Heal. Oh, someone already did that one. I thought I made that up. Slippin' Jimmy season 2. No, thank you. Pop Pop Cop Cop. Now that would be pretty intense. I must say that could be something good. You do probably need to recast Jonathan Banks as Mike Ehrmantraut and focus more on a younger Mike from when his son was still alive. But that could be something pretty. I love that one. Pop Pop Cop Cop. Just the name really sells that one. This one is really just this Vince verse phase 2 though. I like looking at this one. There's Breaking Bad season 6. There's Better Fuck Chuck. All of these are gonna have Better Fuck Chuck, I guarantee you. But then it's like Slippin' Jimmy season 3, Slippin' Jimmy season 4, Slippin' Jimmy season 5, Slippin' Jimmy season 6. This guy got lazy with their pitch. I see Minerals, Successful Workplace, Better Fuck Yep, Better Fuck Chuck, Breaking Bad 2, The Return of Flynn. So that's kind of going with the Walter Jr. idea. Better Bang Hank, Huel's Rules. Oh, Huel's Rules. That's a title. That's a good title. We've got Ehrmantraut. I like Pop Pop Cop Cop more than just calling it Ehrmantraut. I get it though. It's like kind of that edgy Netflix documentary title. Gustavo is the final one in this phase. But I mean, I don't know. I think doing a prequel to Gus, I actually think could have potential since that was originally something they were going to do. That, like I said, it was a torn between those two different spinoffs, and they went with Saul, which I do think was the right call. But maybe you could do it. You definitely have to recast Gus, and I just don't know if I want to see anyone else play Gus. That's my only thing. But it's been done before. You look back at the Godfather movies with Robert De Niro playing Vito in the second one. I mean, it worked. It can work if you get someone who really can capture that personality down. Maybe you can get Gus like the Gus we all know and love for like a single scene or something. I don't know though. Let's see what else we have here. Here's another list on AMC's Salamanca. I think we've had enough of the Salamancas. My Name is Flynn. Gomez, Alaska, DA. This is like the worst one. So if these are there's just no ambition to any of those, Let's see, is there any other pitches here that I can look at for the phase 2 of the Vinceverse? Yeah, it's a lot of the same ones. Huel's Rules, Minerals. Yeah, there we go. Kid Named Finger. There's one. There's one that has a ring to it. How to Break Bad, Gustavo and Kind, El Camino 2. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Better Fuel. Okay, here's another one. Better Fuel Huel. That one's really Better Fuel Huel or Huel's Rules are definitely the way to go there. Breaking Bad 2, Junior's Revenge. Skinny Pete and Badger. That could be good, doing a spinoff for Skinny Pete and Badger. I feel like if you were to do a Skinny Pete and Badger show, I'd actually want something kind of like Mystery Science Theater 3000, though, where it's just they sit in a room and talk over movies. They should just start a Let's Play channel. The two actors should get together. Like if they don't have a lot of work going on, they should always have that as like a backup that they can just do a fucking Let's Play or podcast or whatever in character as Skinny Pete and Badger. That could be good. Jell-O, Salamanca Story Part 2. Jiraz, Salamanca Story. Like I said, Don't need any of that. Although I like this one. Tight, tight, yeah. So is that like a Tuco Salamanca story? That could maybe you could give Tuco. Tuco got the short end of the stick twice. It felt like he was going to be a bigger part of Breaking Bad, and then they got rid of him. And then it felt like he was like Better Call Saul was maybe going to be his time to shine, but no, it's still like 2 episodes for him. 3, I guess technically 3. Howdy Howard, motherfucker. I mean, obviously I like that one, but you got to be respectful with your Howard use. And I feel like right now I'm doing the Howard show that everybody needs, which is Stupid H&M Bros. And I think that's truly the best Howard Hamlin spinoff you're going to get, because I'm the only one who actually, I feel like aside from Vince Gilligan, I'm the only one, or like Peter Gold and their crew, I'm the only one who actually is qualified to write for Howard Hamlin. I don't think anyone else should do it. Really, Howdy Howard motherfucker. I'm open to the idea, but it needs to be put into the right hands. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know if, it feels like there's a lot of room to jump the gun there, like really fuck that up. So it really just depend on who's in charge. If they reveal that I'm the person who's going to write that one, then I'm for it. Breaking Bad 3, Infinity War. Now that's a good idea. Like you can bring them all back from the dead, like with a Thanos snap. And then everybody's alive. Just put every single fucking character on the show, alive or dead, into a room together and let them deal with that. Like all the Salamancas are back, Hector's back, Gus is back, all of his guys are back. Gus is specifically sitting right next to what's his name? Fuck, why can't I remember his name? I always remember his name. Guy got his throat slit. Fuck, why don't I? Okay, now I gotta look it up. Gus kills, and it'll pop up. Victor, there we go. Victor, like they just have to sit next to each other the whole time, and it's really awkward. Howard's back, like everybody's just back in the room together. They just all at once, everybody has to fucking do like that. Just do that. Just film that for fucking 24 hours and release it as a season, like 24-hour long episodes. I assure you, the hype won't. There's just so much wrong with that situation. Like that's like the worst case scenario. That would bound to be a great entertainment experience. So I think the answer is the only way to make another spinoff for the series truly work is to just fuck around. Is just to make something completely stupid for the sake of making something stupid. And you might say, well, doesn't that kind of kill the integrity of these shows? I think you could still enjoy them while ignoring Howdy Howard motherfucker and Better Feel Huel. I feel like you could just like view those two shows in El Camino independently. And if we're talking about like the reputation, I mean, Slippin' Jimmy does already exist. So at this point, I think that it's okay. ABQ, the Holly Chronicles. I don't know. I mean, Holly is like, there's nothing to Holly other than being the baby. So if you made Holly grow up into an adult, you could potentially do something there. Because it would just be a complete blank slate to do whatever you want. Holly could be whatever you wanted her to be, you know? And maybe Holly would be the best character to follow. And then it can kind of be a nice surprise when like Skylar or Walter Jr. or Marie show up. Or maybe she wants information about her dad, so she goes to visit Saul in prison. Although I think you have to be a lawyer to visit Saul in prison. What if everybody just fucking claimed to be Saul's lawyer and showed up? And Saul just kept appearing in the show because of that, and it's just like, God damn, I'm gonna fucking die in here, please leave me alone. And, yeah. Is this an acceptable video to release? I don't think it is. I'll probably release it anyways. Thanks for listening. Shorter one this time, but you know what? These don't all need to be an hour long.